On tonight's Wales at 6, from the Avon Valley to all the way to Hollywood. 100 years since his birth, Wales remembers Richard Burton, one of our most celebrated sons and actors.
To be here in his birthplace, the motherland, and to see him commemorated in this way is really unbelievable, and we're so lucky.
But with cuts to the arts, can the next generation achieve their dreams? We meet those looking to follow in Burton's footsteps.
Also on the programme, more than 100 jobs at risk as Aston Martin blames higher tariffs and falling demand for its luxury cars. Plus, injured skipper Jack Morgan is ruled out of Wales's autumn series after their record defeat to Argentina.
Good evening from Pont Rhydyfen in the Avon Valley. Not just a picturesque village, but one that's proud to be known as the birthplace of Hollywood legend Richard Burton. A global icon known for his magnetic screen presence and that wonderful baritone voice. Well, today marks 100 years since he was born, and to mark the centenary, just a short distance from here in the house where he was born, a special plaque has been unveiled. Our reporter, Katie Fenton, has spent the day at the celebrations of the life and legacy of Burton was remembered.
3 on my head. 2 1 Yay!
A name once in lights, now immortalised in blue. Richard Burton's birthplace marked with a plaque unveiled by family on what would have been his 100th birthday.
It's just been great to have members of Dada's family, members of my family, members of my mother's family all here today to celebrate. I'm so touched at the support that we get in the community, and he was Welsh through and through. You know, his generation, of course, had to get rid of the Welsh accent and get, very proper English, which he did brilliantly. And I think that he always knew where he was from.
I'm American. I fully grew up in America, so to be here in his birthplace, the motherland, and to see him commemorated in this way is really unbelievable, and we're so lucky.
1, 10, anyone? No one?
From Cleopatra to Shakespeare,
Thou must be married to no man but me.
Burton moved effortlessly between stage and screen, famous for intense performances and that unmistakable voice.
Who are you looking at?
A voice carried across the airwaves in 1954 when he narrated Dylan Thomas's Under Milk Wood.
To begin at the beginning. It is spring, moonless night in the small town, starless and Bible black, the cobbled streets silent and the hunched quarters and rabbits wood limping invisible down to the slow black.
Richard Burton might have made his name in Hollywood, but it's here in his hometown of Pont Rhydyfen where that name remains on everyone's lips.
Yay! And just down the road, the man who gave him that name was honoured too. Philip Burton, his teacher and later legal guardian, also earning a plaque on the home where he mentored Richard.
Philip gave him this wonderful bespoke education, this tailored one-to-one learning whilst he was still in school. They went up in the open air up Mynydd Margam and actually practiced speeches, teaching Richard to throw his voice but not to shout.
Back where it all began, this valley still shouts about Burton. And now lies a lasting tribute to a true Welsh legend. Katie Fenton, ITV News in Pont Rhydyfen.
Well, in this small village, which has a population of less than 1,000, the heritage of their Hollywood hero is kept very much alive, even 40 years on from his untimely death. Well, I'm inside the Miners Arms pub where Richard Burton's parents met and were married, and where Burton himself enjoyed a pint or two, or 3 or 4. And you can see on the walls the memories of the man who put this village very much on the map. And tonight I'm joined by those who've come to reminisce and celebrate his extraordinary life. Dennis, good to see you. It's been quite a day, isn't it?
Yes, it's been a fantastic day for the club. There's been over 70 people here today. First of all, they did the unveiling of the blue plaque for Philip Burton down in Taibach.
About time, people would say.
Pardon?
About time.
Yes, oh yes. And then for Richard down in where he was born, down in Danabont.
Yeah.
So it's been a very good day.
And what does it mean to local people here?
Well, it's been fantastic. We still get people coming from America and all over the world.
Really?
Yes, just to visit to see where he was born and to come and to see the mural now, which is on the wall outside. It's been fantastic. We still get people coming. It's been great.
And is it good for business?
Very good for business. Still get people coming. Well, today we've had a very good day because we've had all the Burton family or Jenkins family. Burton's daughter, his granddaughter. Yeah. All the family's been there. It's been great. Because, go on, yeah.
What does it mean when they still show the films? I was watching one the other day. What do you feel when you see Burton up there on the big screen?
It's fantastic. I remember I went to watch Wild Geese. Yeah. And so I came back to the club and Richard's brother Vernon was here. I said, I just seen your brother on pictures.
Oh, well.
He said, where to see him?
A fantastic day enjoyed by so many people.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Dennis, thanks very much indeed. And long may his memory continue.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, Richard Burton and, then Richard Jenkins, as he was, got his taste for acting while at secondary school and in local amateur productions. But what are the opportunities for young Welsh actors today to follow in Richard's footsteps? Mike Griffiths has been to meet one youth theatre company who've taken to the stage to retell the star's life and bring Wales and the world another Burton.
Who are you, anyway?
I'm Richard Jenkins.
On a Port Talbot stage, the story of a legend's life, told by a new generation.
Throwing back cocktails and...
This is a production from the West Glamorgan Youth Theatre Company. It's celebrating its own anniversary, half a century of nurturing young talent.
What you're seeing in this performance is students that are members of West Glamorgan Youth Theatre Company and have been for a few years. You're also seeing then some new young people who've come forward as part of our outreach programme, and the fact that in this piece they're performing alongside alumni from the company, one of who actually was in the first ever course 50 years ago.
For its young cast, the opportunities here and their growing confidence can be life-changing.
I came in 3 days ago to find that I actually got cast for the role of the youngest Richard Burton in the show. Yeah.
That's quite a role to take on, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I open up the show, appear a couple times in the background, and then I think that's about it.
People have started great careers with far less, I'm sure.
That's fair. I liked making new friends, finding common interests.
People on and off stage, behind the scenes of West Glam, that have propelled me and prepared me, I think, ultimately to go on to go to drama school in London. The skills you learn can help you, no matter what field you're going into in the future.
The company is far from immune to financial pressures. They've had to make big changes in how they operate.
I've been involved with the company probably for about 15 years now, and at the start that it would have been completely funded by local authorities. There would have been huge links with local schools, but all of that infrastructure over years has been, taken away. No fault of anybody really, it's just the funding pressures that everybody finds. For the first time in 50 years we've not been residential, and it's getting harder and harder, and if we're honest, we rely on some of our alumni that are able to help us.
But those stories of success aren't just in the past. It's still a springboard for new talent, both on and off the stage.
I've done 6 productions with the company as backstage in the production element of it, and from there it probably gave me the confidence to go and apply for drama school, and I had my first interview for the National Theatre 4 months later, and I started 6 months after graduating, and I think I'm on my 11th production now at the National Theatre.
Later this week, the company will stage this production again, a salute to Richard Burton and a showcase of the ambitious talent of today. Mike Griffiths, ITV News.
Plenty to be positive about the future then. Well, don't go anywhere. We've got more on the late, great Richard Burton. You really do get a sense of him in his local boozer here, perhaps propping up the bar. But first, let's head to the studio where Kate Lewis has the rest of the day's news.
Thanks very much, John. Good evening. More than 100 jobs could be lost as luxury car maker Aston Martin says it's struggling with falling demand and higher tariffs. The news comes just 6 months after a previous round of redundancies at its plant in the Vale of Glamorgan. Well, Hamish Outskry is there for us tonight. Hamish, what more do we know?
Noswaith, Kate. Well, a union that has members here has described this as devastating news. Unite, the union, say they've been told 140 jobs are at risk here in St Athan. 95 of those permanent staff members, as well as 45 who come from agencies. And as you said, this follows redundancies announced back in February when 170 jobs between here in St Athan and over in England in Warwickshire were cut earlier this year. Aston Martin says these new proposed job cuts are a response to President Donald Trump's import tariffs as well as lower than expected demand from China. Unite, the union, say it's still early in the process though, and they will fight for these jobs.
These are good jobs, they're decent pay, and people just want to know where they stand in this process. And I think at the moment, with all the uncertainty for people, it's really concerning. So part of our job is to go through this consultation and obviously communicate with members as much as possible.
This represents a part of a significant reversal of fortune for this particular site. There was significant fanfare when Aston Martin announced that it would begin making an SUV here in Wales and in St Athan. However, they'd already spent 3 years working on this site, transforming it from a former military base into a state-of-the-art manufacturing centre. But when those decisions, those investment decisions were taken, they expected about 90% of what was produced here to be sold around the world, and those international headwinds are causing them significant issues. Aston Martin say they haven't yet put an exact figure on the number of job losses yet, as a 30-day consultation process begins with workers and unions.
Hamish, thanks very much for that update. Next tonight, police are investigating an assault that occurred in the early hours of this morning in one of the capital city's main parks. A 55-year-old man's in hospital with stab wounds described as non-life-threatening. South Wales police say no one has been arrested yet and the motive is currently unknown. 3 men accused of murdering a child killer have appeared in court. Kyle Bevan, 33, was found dead in his cell at HMP Wakefield on the 5th of November. He was serving a minimum sentence of 28 years for murdering his partner's 2-year-old daughter, Lola James, in Pembrokeshire in 2020. 2 men have been charged with burglary after Bronze Age gold jewellery was allegedly stolen from St Fagans National Museum of History in Cardiff last month. 43-year-old Gavin Burnett and 50-year-old Darren Burnett, both from Northampton, have been remanded into custody. They're expected to appear at Northampton Magistrates Court tomorrow. South Wales Police say investigations are ongoing. To sport now, and Wales have suffered a record defeat to Argentina in Steve Tandy's first game in charge of the national squad. Basic errors and a costly injury to the captain could mean that the change of fortunes that so many are hoping for remains a long way off. Well, our sports reporter Matt Southcombe was at the Principality Stadium to witness Wales's disappointing start to the autumn internationals.
This was supposed to be a brave new dawn for Welsh rugby, but Sunday's record defeat to Argentina was frustratingly familiar. Los Pumas pounced early and set the tone for a long afternoon at the Principality Stadium. There was a brief period of hope as Wales clawed their way back into the match with 2 tries. But they struggled to control the game and Argentina took their chances.
We are 12th in the world for a reason, but I did feel today that you could see where we want to go to and some of the things we want to play on, and also like playing a test match gives you the reference point of what we need to get better at.
Maybe we can be a little bit smarter in not overplaying our hand, understanding when, all right, the defence have had a better of us here after a couple of phases, but that's just finding the balance with a new team.
The afternoon went from bad to worse when Jack Morgan suffered what is feared to be a serious shoulder injury. It was a grim ending to yet another superhuman performance from the Welsh captain.
Like, it's always a blow to lose any player, but losing Jack, he was outstanding out there, and the try he scored was unbelievable from that distance. So yeah, it's a blow, and I think not only just the player, the man.
In Morgan's absence, the visitors stretched their lead out to a record margin.
Test rugby is unforgiving, and lapses in concentration or bounces of balls can really hurt you when you're playing a team that's 6th in the world, and I know as good as Argentina are, as clinical as they are, but there's massive strides forward as well, and we'll take the positivity out of it, what we can, but yeah, it's about bouncing back for us for the next one.
And Wales don't have long to put things right. Japan lie in wait, a game they simply must win.
Well, Matt joins me in the studio now. Matt, things seem to be going from bad to worse for the WRU.
Yeah, to say that the Welsh Rugby Union is embattled would be to say the least, and this doesn't really help. From a performance perspective, it was a lot to ask of Steve Tandy to turn this around in such a short space of time, but fans and the WRU would have been hoping for that scoreline to be a little bit closer. There was a different feel to Wales in attack, but ultimately it was a similar story to what we've seen in recent years. It also won't have been lost on the Welsh Rugby Union that there were only 50,000 fans in the stadium yesterday. That's 10,000 down on the last time Argentina were here in 2022. Now, some of that will be down to the results and performances we've seen in recent years, but some of it will also have been down to the off-field chaos and turmoil and general apathy we've seen as well in the game. Now, the test matches are what fund the rest of the game here in Wales, so if that matchday revenue does begin to drop, then it becomes a real issue for the rest of Welsh rugby.
And there's been more news from the organisation today.
Yeah, that's right. CEO Abby Tierney this week begins a phased return to work after undergoing treatment for cancer. Now, we understand she is extremely excited and keen to get straight back into her role. And as we know, there is a lot for the hierarchy at the WRU to sort out. But her return is going to be managed extremely carefully. But there's some good news there from the Welsh Rugby Union at a time when, you know, we need a bit of stability at the top of the organisation.
Well, Matt, thanks very much, and great news that Abby will be back. The time now is 17 minutes past 6. There's plenty more ahead with us and coming up on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up, the BBC in crisis. The chair of the board insists there is no institutional bias, but apologises for how a documentary about Donald Trump was edited. The US president threatens legal action over the programme, which led to the dramatic resignations of the Director General and the news boss. A warning not to use unauthorised waste disposal services who then dump rubbish illegally. And we'll reveal which stars will be heading into the I'm a Celebrity jungle with Anton Deck. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, it's time to hand back now to John as the centenary celebrations of the birth of acting superstar Richard Burton continue. John.
Thanks, Kate. Well, welcome back to Pontrhydyfen, the birthplace of Burton. And as locals here raise a drink to his memory tonight, in the pub where he used to drink himself, there's a real fondness for the Hollywood superstar who never forgot where he came from. Although he spent much of his professional life in the United States, those who knew him say he never lost his deep connection to Wales, the place that shaped his wonderful voice, his values and his love of language. Lewis Rhys-Jones has been taking a look at Burton's lasting legacy.
Very nice to see you.
Richard Burton's love for Wales always brought him home. On one of his visits in 1976, friends and locals lined up to meet the man who'd become a household name around the world.
He always had hee-rice for the place. And, you know, it was the only place he used to love coming to Pontrhydyfen because it was the only time he could speak Welsh. And, of course, it was his first language, and he loved it.
Speaking to me in one of the local chapels, Sian fondly remembers her uncle's generosity, ensuring his family back in Wales could live comfortably.
He set up a family business And the cheques used to arrive from my mother and all his brothers and sisters every August, every Christmas. Mammy'd be there at the door waiting for the postman to grab the envelope. And it was him that bought us the house. They would never have been able to do that without him. I'm so, so proud to be his niece and to have spent so much time in his company.
Bethel Chapel is important in Richard Burton's story, being the place he was baptised and later where the community came to say their final goodbyes after his passing. But it's the actors' visits to the Miners' Arms, now the village's rugby clubhouse, that locals fondly remember.
Whenever he's home, they say he'd always come over here and call in the pub. They'd see his car coming up the road and then the drums would be beating and everybody would be out. Richard was in the bar there with all the committee and somebody suggested to him then, do you want to come upstairs and have a look at the kit room upstairs with the photographs, all the internationals and everything up there? And off they went. And he came back down then and he finished up and he left. But before he went up, he ordered a round for everybody that was in the bar. But when he went upstairs then he came back down, he was talking and he left. He never paid for the round.
From humble beginnings in picturesque Pontrhydyfen to the suburbs of Port Talbot, young Richard Jenkins was then raised in Taibach.
He'd left Pontrhydyfen before he was 2 years old and he came here to live with family, and this is where he went to school. This is where he met the influential people that shaped his life, shaped his career, and this is where he played football with his friends. This is where he climbed trees, and he writes an awful lot and with great fondness of Taibach because it really did make a difference to him, and it was here that he met P.H. Burton and he really took his career to new realms.
His talent led him to global stardom, but Richard Burton never stopped being one of us.
I can't tell you what it feels like to me to come back home and hear the Welsh accents and to hear the Welsh language and speak it again. I do wish that we never had to leave, that we could always stay at home.
Well, tonight a special poetry reading event in Taibach is taking place to celebrate the connections that meant so much to Burton, where Lewis Rhys-Jones has been listening in.
Helo, noswaith dda I chi. Yes, as we've been saying, Richard Burton may be famous as a star of the stage and screen as well as a much-loved member of his community. But did you know about his connections to the world of poetry? He was, after all, a long-time admirer and friend of the late poet Dylan Thomas, even being buried with his work. Well, tonight, this event in the Taibach Rugby Centre is all about poetry and Richard Burton. Well, Karen, you're the organiser of the event. Do tell us more about it. Well, what's the idea tonight?
Well, Centenary Project started at the beginning of this year, and we started with poems for Rich, obviously, because it was Richard's centenary year. We put a social media call out, and I was absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of people from all around the world who have contributed to the book. We've had people from Sweden, America, China, India, just a totally international group of people, all loving Richard Burton.
And he was such an important member of his community as well here.
Yes, yeah. We've had many, many Welsh poets, and we're a lyrical country, and I think we proved it in the book. Book's available in lulu.com if anyone would like to buy it, and we would, encourage anyone to read and remember Richard today.
Well, absolutely. It looks a lovely atmosphere here. Do enjoy the evening. Lovely piano in the background as well, but we're going to speak to one of the people who have had a flight to get here. Ingela, good evening. Where have you come from?
From Sweden, Stockholm.
Fantastic. And are you a big admirer of Richard Burton's work then and his links to poetry?
Yes, I am, because he is really an actor, activating the art of theatre, interpreting Dylan Thomas, Shakespeare, with such a respect for the word, for the meaning, not for exhibition himself, but for the art of poetry.
And what are you going to be doing here tonight then?
I'm going to perform my own poem that I wrote in South Sweden. So I call it from South Sweden to South Wales project.
That's fantastic. We'll have a lovely evening. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Ingela. So a lovely evening to mark off what has been a historic time and centenary remembering Richard Burton.
100 years after his birth, the impact of Richard Burton, his extraordinary talent and remarkable body of work is felt as strongly today as ever. From humble beginnings as the son of a coal miner in the heart of the Welsh valleys to one of the 20th century's most celebrated actors, both on stage and screen. His journey remains an enduring inspiration. Today's centenary celebrations are not only a milestone in his legacy, but also a moment to reflect on the generations of Welsh actors who continue to be inspired by his passion, his dedication and his pride in being Welsh. We'll leave you now, of course, with the weather forecast. But from all of us here in his home village of Pontrhydyfen, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the late update after News at 10.